I'm going to start with what's happening in Bridgeport, Connecticut. There is a Democratic mayoral primary underway. There's a guy named Joe Ganim, and he's the current Bridgeport mayor. He's being challenged by John Gomez. Both Democrats trying to get the Dem nod for the general election for mayor, which happens this Tuesday. Now, the incumbent, Gannon, forgive me, I'm not in Bridgeport, but Ganim, he was falling behind in the votes to his challenger, Gomez, when it came to the people who voted in person. So the challenger was winning based on the in-person vote. But Ganim weirdly predicted, Adam, the absentee ballots are going to break my way. You just watch. Okay, we'll wait. Lo and behold, Ganim won the incumbent, by 251 votes out of 8,173 that were cast. So tight. About 8,200 cast. He won by 251 votes. And guess what sealed the deal? The absentee ballots. That secured his margin of victory. This guy, Joe Ganim, happens to be, just FYI, you may find it interesting, an ex-con. What did he do? Was it like a, public urination? I don't know. Was it something like a mild white-collar felony? No. He served 7 years in prison for racketeering, extortion, accepting bribes, and kickbacks. Well, maybe that was in a job, like in the private, market, in something, the private industry. No, it was as elected. It was as an elected mayor. Back in 1991, he was in office for 12 years. Then he quit when he was caught doing all that bad stuff, served 7 years, and then these dumbasses in Bridgeport elected him again. I'm sorry, my fellow Connecticut residents, but that was a dumbass thing to do. He won his old job back, and then in 2015, and then 4 years ago, he won a re-election. Shockingly, he's now accused of doing something else illegal. Wait for it, okay? Here's what happened. Gomez, the challenger, obtained surveillance video showing a woman stuffing what appears to be, I would add, is obviously absentee ballots into an outdoor ballot box days before the primary vote. So this guy Gomez filed a lawsuit against city officials demanding either a new primary or just for him to be declared the winner. Look at this woman. You can see, she is putting, if you are not watching this on YouTube, go back later. You can see this woman in her long dress clearly stuffing handfuls, thick handfuls. Her hands are widely spread into the ballot box. And we know exactly who it was. It's Wanda Getter Pataki, vice chairwoman of the Bridgeport Democratic Town Committee and a supporter of the incumbent mayor. She was asked to testify in court about whether she did it, whether she supports this incumbent mayor, whether that's her on the tape. And guess what she did? 71 times, she pleaded the fifth. She pleaded the fifth about everything. She doesn't know anything. She now is on leave from her job as a city employee. Wanda Geter Pataki is seen as follows: stuffing ballots into the drop box first on the day of the primary at 5:42 a.m. That's when all above board conduct happens, as you know, Adam. If you're just going to innocently deposit your family members' ballots, you go at 5:42 a.m. Then she circles back at 5:43 a.m. 1 minute later and dumps more ballots off. There's so many in her hand, she had to go make 2 trips. Then, apparently not satisfied with that, 6:38 a.m., she comes back again. She drops a third set of ballots off in the same ballot box. And then 7:17 a.m., a fourth deposit, this time of ballots she had given to a man. And the man stuffs them in this ballot box. She wasn't the only one. These are the only ones we have on cam. Another woman named Enaida Martinez, a candidate for city council, also asserted her Fifth Amendment rights not to incriminate herself when she was asked whether she took custody of absentee ballots that did not belong to her. So they had a long hearing before Superior Court Judge William Clark, and Judge Clark just found, I think a day ago, that these call the results of the primary election into serious doubt. They leave the court unable to determine the legitimate result of the primary. The videos, quote, are shocking to the court and should be shocking to all parties. He cited statistics showing the abnormally large numbers of absentee ballots that had been cast in certain voting districts. So it was not just one, it was multiple. And now, as a result of all this, we're proceeding to the general election on Tuesday. The judge says that there should be a new primary, but the general is this Tuesday, Adam. And so these two guys, the accused cheater and the guy who got screwed, Gomez, are going to face off. Gomez is going to appear as an independent. Ghanem, the incumbent alleged cheater, is going to appear on the ticket as the Democratic nominee. And there's a Republican too, David Hertz, who will run. So if the guy who got screwed wins the mayoral race, he's going to abandon this whole thing. If the guy who got screwed loses to the cheating Dem, then he says he's going to enforce the demand for a new primary, and the mayoralship is going to have to take a step back, redo the primary. I don't know what that means for the Republican, but my God, we were told this is an impossibility and that you're a lunatic fringer if you believe things like 2,000 Mules, Dinesh D'Souza's film that tries to document suspicious ballot drops in the presidential race of 2020. Not saying it necessarily happened, but it's caught red-handed on camera here in Connecticut. Your reaction?
Well, we just need election day. I mean, it's insane that we spread it out. You know, I'm in California. We do ballot harvesting here. There's just no excuse for it because the public is always going to call the election into question if you spread it out over days, weeks, and months. If there's ballot harvesting, if there's all this absentee balloting, it just needs to be election day. And if there's issues with election day, like, well, certain neighborhoods have less precincts and the lines are longer, then let's focus on that. But the notion of doing it by mail opens the door to this. And of course, it's going to happen. Look, I think we figured out that politicians are some of the least honest people on the planet, and they want to win in any modes, you know, by hook or by crook. So let's not give them options. You know what I mean? Like, let's shrink the window for options for them to cheat. And if you just did election day, and maybe you tweak a few things. Maybe it's a federal day where no one has to go to work. Maybe you extend the hours. Maybe you have election mobiles that show up mobily into neighborhoods that have less precincts to vote in and less places to go to. But let's just have election day. And then we could count the ballots that night and we could all go to bed knowing who the president was or who the mayor was.
At a minimum, we need to get cameras on every drop box in America. That should be a bare minimum. Okay, you want to do absentee ballots? That's fine. Every single one has to have a camera that is intact and working on election day so we can make sure we can just monitor it. That's fine. You want to do it? Great. It's going to be like the ATM camera, your face and your hands and what you're depositing up close and personal so we can check if suspicious things like this happened, after the fact. If we get, as this judge found, an unusual ballot dump in terms of volume in particular ballot boxes. That seems pretty straightforward. We had Dinesh D'Souza on after 2,000 Mules came out. And I have to tell you, one of my left-leaning, respectable lawyer friends gave me shit for it. Like, why would you put him on? That's beneath you. It's absurd. That's obviously all a lie. And I said, what's your evidence it's a lie? We don't know that it's a lie. Have you gone and checked all those ballot boxes? Have you watched the movie? Of course, he had not watched the movie. No. And I'll show, if people haven't seen Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules, it does raise some very interesting questions. He doesn't have it red-handed, but he's got a lot of interesting incidents of what looks like nefarious behavior at ballot boxes on camera. And here's a soundbite from that. Watch it.
What you're going to see is he approaches the drop box on his bike. He also has a backpack on. Pulled the ballots out of his backpack.
Taking his time,
digging around, looking for some ballots. Finally gets that, pulls them out. Okay, now I'm set. And he'll put them in. But you also see him get sort of frustrated as he starts to leave, because guess what? At this point, they had started requiring the mules, apparently, to take pictures of the stuffing of the ballots. It appears that that's how they get paid.
Freelance work is booming. So many people are taking the leap and starting their own business. But how do you maximize your earnings, minimize your taxes, and make sure you are legally compliant? It can be overwhelming, confusing, and it takes time away from your own billable hours. That's where the experts at Collective.com come in. Now, Collective was built specifically for businesses of one that are making over $60,000 in profit a year. Collective handles all of your back office work so you can focus on your passion and not your paperwork. And they can tell you how they can backdate your S-Corp and save you thousands on taxes this year. They handle business formation and compliance paperwork, taxes, bookkeeping, accounting, and even payroll. Check out collective.com/Megyn to potentially save thousands of dollars on your taxes. To sweeten the deal, they will also throw in an extra $100 off when you use my link. That's collective.com/Megyn to get started with your personal team of self-employed tax experts. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.